much. I'm really excited. Hello.
That's it.
That's good.
Hi, this is Betsy. We're shooting Searching for Goodness with Eugenia.
Hello. Really excited to be here. Always searching for goodness and everything, even in our world, you know.
So, first of all, I would love you to introduce yourself. I've known you. First, I was introduced to you by Wilma Ellis.
She's amazing. I love Wilma. Just such a kind person, amazing actress, and big shout out to Wilma here.
I'll let her watch it.
Okay. Yes.
And I remember watch your comedy show at Comedy Chateau, and then my co-producer, we were visiting Jordana, and you have a beautiful picture on the wall, one of your beautiful pictures. So I know you do modeling, acting, comedian, and writer.
I grew up in Russia, and literally, I was born to be a model. They took me from the hospital and put me in a magazine. Modeling has taken me all over the world, from high fashion runway, to print, to commercials, to working with the world's top luxury brands, to top magazine covers. I even had my own billboard in Times Square. But I'm more than a model. I'm also a TV personality, a spokesperson, a brand ambassador, an actress, a show creator, and I am a mother of three. Also, I do stand-up comedy.
Put a weapon on the ground. Do it!
You okay, ma'am? I'm fine.
You gave them your guns? Does this mean we're not in a war zone here?
Good luck, babe.
Nick, Jake,
Actually, I'm Nick. Who's Jake?
whatever. Plus one? Как ты видишь, у тебя было очень интересное прошлое. По таким мелочам, как прошлое его жены, мы не расскажем ему ничего. How many times did I tell you to shut?
Sorry.
So please, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So nice to be here. I am excited to do this podcast, Searching for Goodness. I am everything that you said, model, comedian, actress, and mom, even though my kids would deny that, but they're teenagers. So kind of doing it all, a little bit, being creative, I think is really important, and keeping it busy. And I love racing cars as well.
Racing cars?
Yes.
Nice. I didn't know about that.
I know.
Tell us a little bit, what have you been up to lately? I know you're coming from a film shoot, you're going to Paris, and want to tell what's the update?
Yeah, my hair is usually blonde. I'm not a real blonde, but it is usually blonde. But I just came off the vampire film, so if I look half dead, it's not because I'm half dead. It's just because I was a vampire. Well, yeah, I just literally wrapped this morning overnight shoots. Really exciting. I can't say a lot about it just because the production. But I shot in Turkey. I was telling you, Guy Ritchie's film Operation Fortune. We shot it a couple of years ago. It was really, really fun. I loved Antalya. I love the food. It's so good, and the people are really, sweet. And I've been there before as a child because a lot of Russians used to go to Turkey, and that was like our only escape from the country that we were allowed to go. Because I grew up in Food Lines, and we couldn't travel. So I'm really excited to be here. Kind of made it on my own since I was 15, moved to Paris and became an adult, had to pay taxes and other things that are really fun as an adult. And yeah, I had my kids and kind of moved to LA because of that, not really to pursue anything, but fell into the world of actors and the circus of creators. So it is really incredible.
They don't change. You came back for us.
I came back for me.
And I want to ask her a little philosophical question. So we are searching for goodness when there's a lot of problems happening in the world. How do you find goodness in life, and what do you do as a person to spread goodness, being as your personality or profession?
I have chills now. It's so funny because on the drive here, I was stuck in 3-hour traffic and it was raining in LA, right? And usually it's always sunny. And I was reading this book and it's all about this principle of, okay, you're going to be stuck in traffic. Things always going to happen. If you want to see stress levels, go to the airport. There's always something happening. So if you look at life, it's all about the attitude, right? It's all comes from inside. We can't control circumstances outside of us. They're always going to be changing no matter where you are, no matter which level of success you have, no matter whatever happens, with your family, friends, and other people can influence you, but you always have a choice. Just to slow down, take a breath and say, first of all, let them, because you can't control other people. But also what she said, that part maybe make you feel resentful towards people and you'll be like, okay, I'm going to ghost them and I'm going to gossip about them. There's a second part to it where you say, let me. And that way you kind of take responsibility for your choices and don't act out of passive aggressive nature, ghosting people or doing some kind of strange things, but actually say like, let me, talk to them directly that it affected me and make your choices based on that. And, you're not responsible for how people treat you, but you're responsible for how you treat yourself and others. And once you take that responsibility, it gives you freedom to live your life less stressful, even though, there's always things that gonna come your way.
That's a beautiful answer. Yeah. We can't control what happens to us, but we can only control our reaction to it.
Yes, exactly.
And can choose the better reaction.
Not always easy, trust me. I think we all can relate to imperfection and, flying in stages of rage and being provoked by people, but it's just part of human nature too.
That's true. Another thing is we're concerned about is the environmental issues, be it global warming, climate change. We do feel the changes in the environment. So what do you think people should do about it? Do you try to help the environment in any way? And what do
it
you
is so important for me, honestly, because my dad was a nuclear scientist, but he always wanted to work with the environment. And he kind of predicted global change in weather, which I can't believe was 30 years ago that he was talking about it and tried to write books about it, wasn't able to do it. So I kind of took it on myself to be conscious about it. And I think it comes to personal choices and small things. You don't have to be on a global, way an ambassador, even though it is great to work with many organizations. But I think even starting there is a thing that I was trying to teach my kids. I think it's so important to teach your kids, right? Because they act by example.
Right.
And you want the future adults to kind of start early. So on Nature Day, I usually ask them to go outside and we just clean our street, like the trash from our street, we just pick it up. And that gives you an active kind of way to be conscious and train your mind that please don't litter because everything is so dirty. We clean the beaches. I work with this amazing organization called From the Heart Tribe, where they educate a lot of influencers to go actually once a month to the beach, Santa Monica. Big shout out to Sparrow Renan. We love your organization. And, we all just walk around and clean the trash and start from that small action, being responsible for your choices because everything is a choice. And if if you want to live in a world where everything is trashy, then, you obviously going to live in that. But if you want to change something, it comes from you. And yes, I work with a lot of animals. The ecosystem is really out of balance, especially after fires. People don't realize, how much wild animals in nature struggle now with the quality of water and air, and it will take such a long time to rebuild that ecosystem. So I think it's important to, just support like anti-hunting or whatever you can do.
Right.
Small things, but be proactive. Don't just talk about it, but actually do something. We work with an amazing organization with Wolf Foundation. In America, it's really common to treat wolves like, something bad, and like they shot little puppies in the Midwest. So we went to Washington actually with amazing director Ashley Elvis, another shout out, who did Wild Beauty, about the horses, another documentary. And we went to Washington and actually talked to Senate, protested, and changed the laws. So I think you can do a lot being in America. That's what I know, because I come from the country where you can't have a voice at all, and maybe there's a lot of propaganda, and you'll be dead if you talk about things. What I appreciate about this country is, the power of your personal voice and your choice.
Unfortunately, that's changing these days, because I just heard yesterday. By the way, great answer. I'm glad you're doing all these things. And there's also other organizations where people can, plant trees. You can help animals, you can help the environment. And I call out everybody to help do whatever you can. Even the products we use make a difference in the world, the choices we make. But I heard yesterday about what you're saying. That's why I came to America too. I'm going to have my freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It's the country of freedom. But now I heard yesterday they're making like students, if you're a student and you protest, international students will be sent back home.
Oh my God.
American students will be kicked out of school.
That's so scary.
I would really like to make my opposition to the world against that, because that's really threatening young people to be quiet about things they're not going to be okay about.
It is so true.
It is so not right.
I definitely see it in social media, and just being somebody who is a Russian because of the conflict, between countries, I kind of was put in a position to not only like feel ashamed. Obviously, I do feel ashamed for politics, the people who fight. I think it can't relate to all the normal people, and there's goodness in everybody on every side.
Right.
And unfortunately, we live in a world where it's cancel culture, and you can't really talk about the difference of opinions. I think there is definitely a platform that's like pushes us to not think critically, but I think critical choice is so important, and your actions, and if there's enough people to protest something, even that rule, there's definitely, as humanity, we have a level of consciousness that we have responsibility to.
That's how we can make a change. And I mean, it doesn't have to be as violent as French Revolution, but changes have been made. I heard I need to look up the details, but somewhere in the world, people make revolution just by singing all together.
Absolutely, yes, meditating, look at Gandhi, look at all these incredible people who came from history, as a lesson of resilience and, change in unimaginable circumstances. So I agree. I think fighting comes from that patriarchal way of hitting back, but I think now we live in a world where it doesn't work anymore. We're gonna finish up with a nuclear war, self-destruction.
I hope not.
I hope not. God bless. I don't think we will, but I think there is a certain level of consciousness that goes the other direction, where, like you say, a lot of people are meditating, a lot of people are doing yoga. I noticed that even when 10 years ago maybe you were.
It's elevating the consciousness on one hand. I mean, I think you're right. There's good and bad in everything, and there's something right and wrong in every part.
Yes.
It was asked about birds, and you mentioned
birds.
your father's a science man. That's more interesting. If your science was a science man, how do you find a balance between spirituality and science?
A lot of misconception about science is because my dad was a nuclear scientist, so they have to invent things, and come up with new ideas. And you can't come up with new ideas out of your old programmed, square thinking. So actually science is the most creative thing you can imagine. And we grew up with a lot of painters and artists because you have to think outside the box. So I think the dogmatic science is something that people just deny thinking outside the box. But the way I look at it, if you don't believe in something, just look why and go the other way, and then try to prove it wrong, and you can find in the middle some kind of a real thing. And also, spirituality is everything for me. So, I always say the heart always dies the last, and the brain, you can be brain dead, but you can't be heart dead. So obviously we have so much intelligence in the heart, and listening to that intuition is the most one single important thing, because it will always know. We're just really denied over like learning history and, denying kind of like progress and political systems that keep us in place. We forgot that intuition is the most important thing, and there's nothing but spirit, and everything is energy. And I feel on some level everybody knows that, but it's easy to kind of out of fear, right? They say like there's either love or fear. That's the primal emotions. So you always, if you make a choice for anything you do out of love, I always ask myself, am I doing this out of love, or am I doing this out of fear? No matter what it is, even if it brings you success, money, material things, if it's out of fear, you can question like why you do that, or the other way.
I'm glad I asked. That was a beautiful answer. Yeah, listening to your intuition is very, very important. I agree with that. And about birds, do you have anything interesting to say? What do you think about birds? Because
about birds in general?
We got so interesting stories about birds all the time, so I throw it in there. But if you don't have anything, it's okay.
I love birds. I mean, I love freedom, and I don't know, I have this connection to birds for sure. I woke up one day and there was a hummingbird that flew, because we live in the birds street, and our house is literally in bird level. So one time a hummingbird flew in, and I always look at it as a spiritual sign, and I had to literally talk to this bird, because they're so fast and their wings can get damaged if you pick them up or squish them. So I had to talk to this bird to come into my palm and like release it. And then we have owls that come by, and I'm the weird person who talks to them. But I love birds. I think all animals are beautiful, but birds represent that freedom, that I think we all strive to have.
Beautiful. I'm glad I asked that too. And this one I don't need to include if you don't want, but just want to ask, what's your connection with God? Like, what do you think of? Do you pray, or do you have your certain way of like? What's your connection? And do you think even we have different religions or beliefs, we can still be united with tolerance?
Absolutely. Yeah. I grew up very religious in an Orthodox community. And it was all about punishment, and I think it brought a lot of shame, especially as a woman, to me, that I had to uncover. And I feel there's dogmatic religion, but there's also a beautiful, name of God that represents something bigger than yourself, your ego. And we are part of God, so for me, it's like we have that responsibility to create as well. We are creative, but there's a bigger kind of picture that no matter what happens, I always know I'm taken care of, and either good or bad, like it's all a lesson in some way.
What do you think, for the sake of goodness of the world and humanity and all living beings, how can we all unite? How can we accomplish peace in the world? And
give a hug to your neighbor, I would say. Just start with the small things. I always go out and look at people outside. A lot of times we're so used to looking at the screen, and kind of it dehumanizes us from having the connection with a stranger. And you don't know what other people go through a lot of times, even if somebody bumps into you and is angry, just be conscious, ask like, how's your day going? Or just be compassionate and, listen. I think listening is the most important skill that you can ever have as a human, because it's so easy with all these distractions, all these networks, just to try to kind of disengage and have an attention span, which I try to monitor in my kids. But slowing down and listening to another person, or, the environment that you're in, is the most important thing that you can actually train to do. And I know that because they didn't accept me at the music school for 7 years, but I trained myself to go. So it's a skill that you can learn how to do.
Wonderful. Okay, before we wrap it up, if people would like to see your previous work or upcoming work, what are some of the works you'd like them to take a look at? And you can promote yourself.
The worst at promoting myself, but you guys, if you need any help, if you want to become a model or an actor, if you need an advice, you can check my Instagram, Eugenia Kuzmina. You can reach me. I try to help as much and mentor other, people who maybe don't have a platform. So that's why I started Model Mom as a blog and talking to other mothers who are really passionate. But I think these days you can use all kind of platforms. That's a good thing about social media, right? So talking about all these avenues, you can reach somebody across the world and actually educate yourself. So it's a choice of your time.
And what was that movie? I saw you in a movie. I remember I even said to you, you had a tiny role, but it was a really great movie.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Yes, it's called Strange Darlings.
Oh yeah, there you
Yes,
are.
I know. I have. It's so funny because the way they approached me to do this film, it was shot on film, which is really, really hard technically,
Right.
and you can't waste a lot of film. So they're like, every actor is really important for the film. But when I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, it's so short, because they couldn't allow to do like close up and things. I was like, okay, they have to cut it.
But at
literally
least
to
you
see.
made it to the cut.
I made my credits longer than my scene, but it was really fun to be on set, and the artists are incredible.
Wonderful. So every time we close our show, we try to not keep it too long, but short and sweet. We always say, goodness will win. That's our slogan. So let's say it one time to this camera and one time to that camera. So 3, 2, 1.
Goodness will win.
And searching for goodness, please go ahead and subscribe and check out Eugenia's work. Let's do it one time to this camera too. Do you see both of us? Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Goodness will win.
Keep watching us. Anything else you want to add?
No,
before
it was
we wrap?
great. Yeah, it was
anything
perfect.
else you wish to mention?
No,
Think about
I
it
think
for a
it's great. I
second.
mean, I think it's a great message. I think it's more about that. People always talk about themselves and nobody cares. So it's much better to
Let me just add one thing. Thank you, Eugenia, for coming today. It was raining in LA, like you mentioned, and we could have just canceled it, but we all made it happen here.
We made it happen.
I thank everyone for coming and making it happen with little steps. Hopefully, we'll make this project to eventually turn into a movie project and
That's
then
great.
travel the rest of the world. That's the goal.
I love that.
Thank you for helping in the development progress.
Of course.
Really
Hopefully I
appreciate
can
it.
promote that. So
Yes.
that's a good thing to promote.
Thank you so much
Yes,
again.
thank you.
Really nice to have you,
Yeah,
and
thank
I'll be
you.
looking forward to see more of your work. Yes, one last time I'll do the same thing. Let's do one more
Okay.
time. Please keep watching Searching for Goodness, and definitely check out Eugenia's work. Her Instagram and all her information is online. Take care.